This self-analysis brings to my awareness different aspects of my being that I may not necessarily, well, we inhibit a great deal of what's going on inside of us for the benefit of the boon that is received from a collective experience. So we edit out a great deal of our own personal experience so that we can receive the benefits of living in a society. And I have had personal experience that some tremendously horrid failures have occurred at the hands of social services, social systems of many, multiple, and various types. And I've come to learn that these are status quo. This is the status quo. This is the way it is. And it made it very, very difficult for me to participate in any of the social situations because, well, as I've learned, many people do not have the ability to understand that they are contaminating their service to society with their own personal contents, their own personal goings-on. Now, on one level, our personal experience can enliven our social context in a tremendous and wonderful way. I think this is partly why America has the standing it has in the world, in that it makes it creates a context in which people can give their personal expression. And what I'm saying is that expressing these personal contents can be very healthy in that it helps to exhaust the energies that are confusing the overall picture. However, they can also confuse the picture as well. But people are not necessarily aware that they're doing this, that they are contaminating all the world, the social context, and trying to, the organization and the order that the social context is trying to bring about with their own personal problems. And the self-awareness that I have of what's going on inside of me and my desire to expunge myself of certain negative tendencies well, ultimately, it can take me away from participating. And there's all kinds of terms, there's all kinds of, people say it's selfish, it's ego-centered, it's self-aggrandizing to do this kind of self-analysis work. And on one level, from one perspective, that's true. In a very rich society such as our own, I think we have the ability to do much more of this self-aggrandizement. But it comes, there's a price to it. There's a price for everything. So I was just really thinking about how it's a dream and this self-analysis can be overdone in an OCD type of meaning, in that I can overdo it. I can look too deeply into myself. The characters, the various aspects of my being can take on ascendancy, a prominence that take me over and remove me from participating genuinely, or just being a passive observer, a passive participant in the social goings on. But it comes back down to my experience in that I can set aside I can set aside my concerns to a point, but I can't set them aside entirely. They are part of me. And I can't expect others to understand, not everyone, in that they haven't had my experience. I see many of these studies that people hold as empirical sciences, empirical truths, empirical facts. I see them as fantasies, multiple and various renditions of the one truth of all life that reflects itself in multiple and various forms. So they're effective only for a certain outcome. And whatever that outcome is what we're projecting into the future. We are envisioning, fantasizing what we would have. And what this does for me to have this perspective is that not to take anything too damn seriously. Not too heavy-hearted. But it also comes back to the inner goings-on are often influencing the outer goings-on. So what we pay attention to within, how we are within us, is how we are going to interpret what's going on outside of us. And this comes back down to what I'm reading about will and representation by Schopenhauer. And I'll finish it, at my leisure. Because I understand that there are certain aspects within my being that might have a grave difficulty integrating certain truths, certain perspectives. And so I have to read slowly, I have to read, and I have to go over it, I have to write about it and think about it and let it sink in really deep, so that I can come to my own rendition while still staying true to the empirical fact of what, say, for instance, Schopenhauer is saying. I went through this phase where I was reading a lot of, I still read a lot of nonfiction, and or philosophy, and I would read a section, and then I would encapsulate the section in rhyming poetry. And if I could do that and stay true to the original text, I felt that I really integrated what it was I had read. But I change it, you know, I have my own perspective of it. And it becomes even more real. And with this going on inside of me, and this awareness of that this is going on inside of me, when I relate to others, I am very conscious of the fact that they're doing the same thing, though they may not be aware of it at all. That they're producing their own rendition. And it's quite beautiful for me to observe that, you know, people do these things. But I also have met a lot of people who are very, very frightened of this fact. They hold truths to be fact when they're only perspectives.